Hello, welcome to another Growth Galleries master class. And in these classes, we teach you different astrophotography topics so that you can improve your astrophotography. So, don't you just love it when you get a little fidget spinner like this and you can just spin it and see it rotate? And if the speed matches the frequency of the camera's shutter speed, you can see the specific details of it rotate, and in certain cases you can actually see it look like it's attempting to flip directions, kind of like you see here. So one thing that I'm passionate about outside of astrophotography is fidget spinners and spinning tops and things of this nature. And so this is a pretty cool one. I think this one was like $15 on Amazon. You can remove these little knobs from this, and then it becomes imbalanced and it wobbles in your hand, and it's kind of fun just to have on your desk and fidget with. So back onto the topic for today. We have today, hopefully I will cover 7 different astrophotography apps that I use, and these are really a key part of my workflow, and I really want to share those with you so that you can add them to your workflow, and hopefully they'll help you capture better images. So let's open my phone here, and if we open these here, the first app I want to talk about is Stellarium. So there are many different types of apps like this one. So Stellarium is a planetarium app, and basically it's what it sounds like. You can see the night sky, or what the night sky should look like at any particular time with this application. You just select like the date and the time. So if I want to know what the sky is going to look like tonight at like 10 p.m. in my area, the GPS on my phone will tell the app where it is. I can see what's facing in the east here. So if we look in the east here, it looks like we have Mars, and then we have the Gemini and the Moon and Jupiter above it. That's what will be the sky will have in it facing east at 10:02 p.m. Tonight. And so this is really useful. So let's say I want to plan my vacation to capture Orion. So obviously, right, our Orion is here. We can see it just above the Mars and Gemini, or to the side of it, sort of. So if I want to capture Orion facing south, right, I can come here and say, look, it's at above 40 degrees facing south at like around midnight. So that's tonight, but we look up in the sky and we see the moon. So maybe the tonight midnight is not a good time. So then we have to find a day where the moon would not be in the sky. So if we keep going forward in time, we can keep going. 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. So maybe on the 24th, and then we have to adjust the time a little bit here. At around 11:30, it looks like Orion will be directly above the south on December 23rd at 11:30, and there won't be a moon in the sky, so it should be a good time to capture Orion if the weather is looking good and all the other conditions, which we'll talk about some of the other apps later. So basically you can do this with any object in the sky. So if we want to go to like, let's go to June. In June, you can see that the Milky Way is here. So if I want to know when I can see the Milky Way in the south here, that's about on June 25th. It looks like the moon is not in the sky. And at around 12:30, you'll have a really nice south-facing Milky Way with kind of an arch over towards the east. And so then you can plan your trip around this and do your research on when the weather will be good in the place you want to get your shot, and so then you can plan your details of your trip to get exactly what you're looking for. So yeah, this is some of the cool things that you can do with the Stellarium app. And so the next app I wanted to talk about here is called Astrospheric. So like once you know where the where the object is in the sky, you need to be able to plan around, and the time when you can see it, you need to be able to plan around the weather. So Astrospheric is a great tool that I've been using for quite a few years to monitor this. So it predicts the weather about 7 or 8 days into the future. Let's see, maybe 9 days, somewhere between 7 and 10 days in the future. But it has detailed like weather for the 3 to 5 days. Let's see, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. So it's about 3 days into the future, a little bit more. So you can see a detailed weather prediction. You can see if there's clouds here, like this. You can see in my area that there's a lot of clouds, like at least until tonight, 10 p.m. And then you can see different parameters of the sky. So you've got the on the top here. You've got how clear it is, if there's clouds or not. The second one is clarity, and then the third one is seeing. And so those are three different ways to think about how you can see the sky. So there is also cannot tip this there. I want to see what it is. So this is smoke. So right now there's not very much smoke in my area, but if you go around the country, you can see that there's smoke different areas. So one often overlooked thing with the weather is that, like, if the weather looks clear, you might go out and you might still not be able to see the sky, and that's because there's a fire nearby or in a neighboring state, or sometimes in a different country even. We had a lot of smoke coming down from the Canadian fires earlier this year, and it completely fogged out the sky, which makes for some really interesting conditions, capturing like sunsets and the like. But when you're trying to go out at night and capture Milky Way or Orion or some other stars, you might face issues with these clouds blocking your view. So you can see here right now there's some smoke down in New Mexico and Arizona here. It's a little bit unclear exactly where that's coming from. Probably there's fires somewhere. And you could probably go to the government website. I think it's airfirenow.gov or something. Like, you'd have to search Google for it. You can find it, and that'll tell you all the existing fires that are going on. And then frequently you can find the source for the smoke that you're seeing in the prediction and in the sky when you go out. So yeah, so this weather app is super useful. It also has components here for the wind, and then it has a dew point, which is another possibly often overlooked factor. So you might get perfectly clear skies, but if it's super humid out, and the temperatures are close to the dew point, then you could potentially run into issues where the water will condense on your lenses. And then when you're trying to capture an image, it'll become foggy because it's shooting through the condensed water on the lens. It essentially creates a filter and blurs things out. So that's another factor that you can pay attention to. Where I live in Colorado here, usually it's pretty dry, so I don't worry about that too much. But if you go somewhere else, like where I used to live in Illinois, it was very humid there, so this was a consideration. You might want to consider dew heaters or similar things of this nature, or just not going out when it's super humid. So okay, and one other thing we can discuss. We talked about the moon briefly in the looking at stellarium, but here you can see the current moon phase, and then you can see when the full moon is, when the new moon is, when the half moon is. And so based off of this, right, you can try to plan your shoots around the new moon. You want to be as close as possible around the new moon, and before the new moon and after the moon, you still have parts of the night which are potentially still dark and clear, but you have to make sure you're taking this into consideration. So the next step I would like to talk about is light pollution. So you may not consider it that often, but like there is a lot of light pollution in many areas of the country. So as you can see here, if we go over to the east side of the U.S. and we zoom out, you can see basically the whole East Coast is completely lit up. There's like barely any dark spots. So if you go up to Maine here, right, northern Maine, seems like there's a good amount of dark skies, and then up into Canada. But the rest of the eastern U.S. is pretty light polluted, so it's hard to find dark skies. So if you want to zoom in here, let's pick an example here of a place where we might want to shoot. So let's say we want to go down to Tennessee, right? So there's some nice spots here. So there's Gatlinburg. So if you are aware of the national parks in the U.S. here, we have the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, which is right on the border of Tennessee and North Carolina. And it's right by Gatlinburg here, and you can see that there's still a good amount of light pollution from the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge area and Sevierville and other places in that area. But if you look to the south and the southwest specifically here, you see some pretty dark skies. And so if you go down to the Great Smoky Mountain National Park and you plan to shoot towards the south or the southwest here, you can get some pretty good shots like I did earlier this year. You can go find those on my Instagram. And so even if the area seems to be very light polluted, if you find a darker area and you're pointing in the right direction, you can still capture some pretty cool images, even if you're on the East Coast and it's mostly light polluted. If you come back to the West Coast here, you can see that there's a lot more areas with less light pollution. So basically the red areas are the brightest spot, and the areas that are unmarked are not having a strong measured light pollution. So we can take an example here from one of the places that I like to go out and shoot here. So you'll have seen several of my photos from the Telluride area at night, and you can see here that it's not completely free of light pollution, but it's pretty dark, and it does in a really good state for actually shooting the Milky Way in the area around the city of Telluride here. And then you can capture even the lights of the city, which are pretty easy to capture because they're not overly bright, and then you can blend them with a Milky Way photo pretty easily because the level of light pollution is not like you would find in a major city like Chicago or New York or even Denver, which is closer by where I live here in Colorado. So yeah, so a light pollution app like this can really help you plan out your shoots. You can look at Utah. If you go to southern Utah, like there's a large amount of places in that area which are just really, really dark, and I highly recommend visiting those for getting your dark sky shoots. I have been to many of them. If you want recommendations, you can join my school group and find out about those and come to my sessions and ask questions, and I'll definitely give you recommendations on where you could go. So the next app I'd like to talk about is the Polar Clock. So a Polar Clock app is basically showing you what is the current polar time. So I guess we need to talk a little bit about the sky. And so when you look to the north in the northern hemisphere, you see the North Star or Polaris. And North Star or Polaris has been used for like many millennia for navigation and understanding what true north is. But in all reality, like while it does not seem to move to our eye when we're looking to the north, and it's actually a relatively good reference for navigation, it actually is not the not exactly in the true north point in the sky. It actually rotates around a clock here is what we're calling it. We've called it. And so it's basically a really easy reference so that you can find it in your polar scope. So when you have your star tracker and you're looking through the polar scope in your star tracker, then you can find exactly where Polaris is on this circle you see here. So it looks like it's almost 10 o'clock on it's 9:49 on the current polar clock. And so we'll probably have a session later on for talking about this. If you have no idea what a polar scope is and what the polar clock is, we'll look through a polar scope and maybe we can do this in one of the next sessions and talk about how that works and how you can use it. So we come to the next one. So the next app I'd like to talk about is PhotoPills. So there are several different planning apps. PhotoPills is one of them. I should have mentioned, like, none of this is sponsored. These are just apps that I've found useful, and hopefully you can too. The planner here, we can click on this, and so I can pick a specific location, and then I can see where the Milky Way will be at a specific time and day. So it's very similar to the Stellarium map, except this specific view is not actually showing you where the Milky Way is. It just shows you on the specific day in this location, the Milky Way will be facing this direction, or the sun, or the moon, or whichever object you want to track. And so you can see this over time as I can drag the time around. And so this can be really helpful in planning specific locations, especially if you're traveling long distances and you want to be in a specific location at a specific time for a very specific shot. These type of planner apps can be very helpful. Another view that can help you is the augmented reality view. So this will tell you in real time from your location where the sun will be located at a specific time. And so you can just kind of go around here, and then you can do the same view for the Milky Way and things of this nature. So this will help you be able to plan exactly, once you've arrived on the location, what if your predictions were actually accurate for the locations of the Milky Way, sun, moon, etc. So it's a pretty cool app. I use it. Another thing I use it for is on my home screen on my phone here. I have the details of the daytime, when the sun rises, the sun sets, and when the moon rises, the moon sets, which is really helpful reference for me whenever I'm trying to say, I want to go out and I want to make sure I'm seeing the Milky Way or Orion or some other constellation in the dark. I know that the moon has set and that the sun has set at a specific time, so I can go out and have the right conditions. So the next app, or the last app I guess I would like to talk about here, is social apps. So there are many different social apps where you can share your work. And I would argue that sharing your work is really important. You can get feedback on it. You can see if you get a better response on a specific photo, or maybe this is better a better photo potentially, or maybe you did a better job on it. You were in the right conditions. You used the right settings. You can just gauge a general idea of how good your work is over time just by seeing how many people are following you. Another great thing is to follow people who are capturing photos like you, and you can see the work they're producing and find inspiration for your own work. And so for me, Instagram is really one of the main ones for this. So you can see, I follow a lot of different people here. These are all posting content that is similar to the stuff that I photograph and capture. And I can learn from what these people are doing, and hopefully some of the people who are following me can learn. So if you want to follow my work, we can come over to this. I am Growth Galleries on Instagram and all the other social medias. So if you want to see more of my work, especially my photographs, I post regularly on Instagram. So I recommend that you would do the same, and you can definitely both get feedback and also learn from others as well. So yeah, so that's 7 different apps that I would recommend that you could use for your astrophotography process. Again, these apps I found them very useful to me, and I use them on almost every time I go out to shoot. So I would highly recommend that you become familiar with them. And then if you have questions on any of these things, be sure to join my school community where I can answer questions for you. We have regular question and answer sessions, and also these regular master classes that you could join live and ask questions if you have specific needs there. And the community in school also allows you to make your own posts and ask questions there. So just feel free to join and engage with the community there. So I hope these apps are helpful to you, and hope you have a great day. All right, P.S. really quickly, I forgot to talk about the seventh app. So the seventh app was the compass app here. So when you're going out to shoot, it's really important to know which direction you're looking, especially if you're using a star tracker. So with your star tracker, you want to be able to polar align to Polaris. So knowing where north is really important. So this app here is just a standard compass app, and at this point it does not seem to be as accurate because I think north is sort of that direction. So it's a little bit off right now, but that's probably because I'm inside the house with a lot of different interference and stuff. So definitely make sure you have a compass app installed. It can help you get around if you get lost. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but that can help with that. And then specifically when you're setting up your star tracker. So highly recommend having a compass app.